Hi, you. So good to see you on Zoom. Finally, I'm doing a recording also for all the people who haven't been like in person at the UK fasting talk I gave in Hammersmith. So yeah, let me just share my slides quickly that we can have this brief and in the schedule and that you are most informed after that session about the topic as you've seen in the invitation. Let me just make that bigger. You see me properly. I can read the chat if you like to prompt questions. I don't know if it's going onto the recording, but let's see. It's a different setting. Yeah, intuitive eating, nutrition, and health. Integrate what you learn into daily habits for life. So probably the most catchy word which got you into that, interest in the talk was emotional eating, because this is a kind of how to say thing for most of us is difficult to handle. That is one of the major reasons why I'm kind of giving or offering a course to heal that, to go deep into that, and to finally not having it anymore. And this is like the opposite of emotional eating is intuitive eating. There are people still thinking that intuitive eating is like the meals which I'm craving for, but it isn't. It's not the craving food. It's like the food our bodies are intuitively wanting, without all the conditioning of our childhood, of our society, of our whatsoever, to really listen to the body language, what's good for him or what isn't. And there is a hurdle to that because with all the stressful situations we are in, with all the experiences we have around eating, and all the other social implications and systems we're in, it's quite difficult to feel that inner guide again. And yeah, and it's kind of leading me to the second half of it. So this is why I'm combining that with fasting, different kinds of fasting, but not mostly therapeutic fasting, because I realized from many courses I did in German. So I'm just kind of starting the English versions of my courses for fasting and intuitive eating by also having such kind of talks I do now. And so, yeah, the fasting is preparing, so it's kind of a cleansing and clearing mechanisms for our body sensory system to feel better what is good for him. And then most importantly, and it does say it here, let me think. Yeah, basic information around healthy eating. So healthy eating, because in the days we have now, it's so much processed food, which most of you already know that it's not the one we should eat, but sometimes it's inevitable, and sometimes it's also how to say impossible to know, because, for example, one of my examples, I just give it now at the beginning. One of the examples is that the wheat and the spelt, and any, those two are the major ones in the current situation on that planet, is so genetically transformed, genetically modified, that's the word, is so modified that it contains repellents to save pesticides. So it's inbred genes in there which repels normal, like pflanzenschädling. Anyhow, you know what I mean. So it's kind of inbred, and these genes, like the amylase trypsinase inhibitors, are there to use less pesticides, but there are also, when we eat that wheat, there are also destroying our gut tissue by leading, like the most common name for it is leaky gut. It doesn't, so if we eat too much of this, is kind of a pre-preparation for getting like food incompatibilities or allergies, because it's a kind of destroying mechanism for our gut. Not all people feel that, but the more sensitive people do. So they kind of already cut down the wheat products. Spelt was getting a bit of modern and hip, at least in Germany, but it's the same. And so my recommendation for that is really to avoid all gluten-containing crop. Is it crop? I think so. Yeah. So that would be also already a breakthrough. Rice, for example, is gluten-free. Oats is gluten-free and is not modified the way. But in general, I would go for higher protein, which is not like taking protein shakes or something, but like aim for higher protein, either from legumes, which is pulses, I think, legumes, or any other like source, healthy source. I try to avoid red meat, but yeah, you realize when we talk about what's healthy, what's not, it's very difficult. So I'm not like so I'm a flexitarian, especially when I'm traveling, and normally I'm going for mainly vegan plus a bit cheese, no milk. It's too many bovine estrogen in there, and little dairy, little chicken, little fish. But main thing is, and my course attendance, people in my courses know that from the scratch, that it's vegetables. There are some kind of specific things for example, histamine allergy that don't have to do meal preps. They are not allowed to do meal preps. They know that. But healthy and fresh cooking with lots of vegetables would help to cut low the carbs and to have like the fibers. And fibers are good for our microbiome. So I think we kind of start now with one of the principles. This is called the pyramid of food, of healthy food. One of them, it's in German, but it doesn't really matter because it has the signs on it. So the basis is like really drinking lots of water. I would recommend coffee at all. I realized myself that I improved my sleep so much more by also cutting down to 0 black tea, which I was kind of addicted to. So I did that just recently in this year's March. And so I realized that any caffeine is destroying our sleeping. Most of the people don't realize that, but if they cut it out and try to do mind-body mindful to add the mindfulness to the life, it's better than to add the coffee to life. But you have to be, you're the master of your you are the master of your life, and you decide what to do with your life, and you decide what to do with your body. So I know it's your decision. You just get like hints and suggestions to it. What you do is your own decision. And when you are in that status of intuitive eating, you feel much more what is good for you. So this is a very general thing, which you also could use just right from scratch after that talk to, you see here, eat mostly vegetables. I wouldn't go for much fruits because fruits have fructose in it, and we have like kind of a limited carrier system in the gut for that. So an excess of fructose, and sensitive people might recognize it already, realize that already, that they get diarrhea from it because the carrier systems are overloaded, but also the liver has problems processing an excess amount of fruits, and the non-alcoholic fat liver is one of the results of too much fruit in our diet. So the general recommendation about that is like a handful of fruits a day, and mostly berries, colorful stuff. So the banana would be just off the table, especially because it's geerntet. What's the word? So you get it green from the tree, and it's traveling. So it's not like a regional and local food. So if you go for the regional and local food, banana would be off the table. So anyhow, so it's lots of vegetables. I would do the carbs below there. You see, like all the carbs below there. Sorry, no, that was the right direction. So mostly vegetables, and then I would do the protein below the carbs. So like more protein, but you see, this is this is not the protein I would recommend. So most of the protein is already here in the vegetables. So in principle, it's like, yeah, the animal products is here, which is good. Then we have good oils and fats. And I myself, I switched from nuts to cocoa butter or 90% cocoa chocolate, which is not chocolate at all. My kids at least say that, but it contains all the good fat which we need, and it has less lectins, or hardly no lectins, which do the nuts. So for the nuts and also for grains, I would go for watering them overnight. But if you have any question to that, we can do that after that, or you just, when you see the recording of that, you just address me. I'm open for any other information about a healthy diet. And so this is like very, very little is the sweets, sugar, salt-rich food. Yeah. So that would, and especially this is also kind of destroying our natural feeling for saturation. Okay, so why is, let me get to the next slide, how to eat. So so this is like what to eat, and this is how to eat. How to eat is eat like a gourmet. So the key word is mindfulness, and you see that I use cutlery, like fork and knife, to eat that with a conscious and in the moment feeling. You chew, you put your cutlery away, then you just feel. So mindfulness is actually, and it's funny that I've been in senses physiology all the time during my university time. But that our sensory system is guiding us in the now and is guiding us into the mindfulness. And the more we use our different senses, so when we go to the table, sit down, we have our eyes, we have our ears, we have our nose, we have a mouth, to really smell the food, to see the food, to celebrate food. And this is one key element to saturation. And to feel satisfied, to feel filled. And this is the major basis of intuitive eating, to reconnect that feeling, how it feels to be full, how it feels to be satisfied by food, how it's, because we lost that feeling, and then we kind of do all kinds of binge eating and unconscious, unaware eating by just doing it in between two whatever, I don't know. So going to the fridge and just eating without any thoughts. What we virtually do, and then our body doesn't sense that we eat, then we don't feel satisfied, all that. So this is the key to the second one. So to the it's satiation, not saturation, to the feeling of satiation and fullness. This is one example. I don't know who of you got the sentence like, oh, eat your plate empty because the kids in Africa die, or the weather will be bad, or whatever. So all this kind of, our parents or grandparents have been suffering from all the war, like World War I and II, and they got imprinted on this scarcity of food, and so like, don't throw away any food, which is sustainable, by the way. I'm trying also not to throw away food, but there is also containers and fridges to eat it the next day. That doesn't count for the histaminologic. They need to have fresh food, but for most of us, it's working when we just keep it for the next day. And okay, why is this so difficult? Because very, very, very early in life, we have the emotional linking of food with comfort, safety, closeness, which is a good thing when we are, as kids. It's never a good thing. It's a natural, or it's a kind of common thing, which I experienced myself. Now, this is a little story. I just need to watch the time. So my oldest son is 6 weeks old. He has this growth expansion. So he's just started drinking milk from my breast like every 1 hour or even less. And he was a kind of like a throw up kid. So he was growing like crazy, getting all the cheeks and whatever. And I was asking my midwife, what can I do? I can't sleep. He's just like, I'm feeling vampirized by my son. And she said, your son thinks this is like an open source of milk, and you need to cut down this source, or to have it only open for several times and in that time between, you swaddle him, and you give him the closeness, you give him the love, so to give him all the comforting feeling about being with you, but not the food. And that was my very first learning, that this linking is very common, because most mothers are totally, so especially with the first mothers, are totally overwhelmed by that feeling, to care about a child, to provide, and also breastfeeding is a very difficult. So it worked for me, not from the very beginning, as I recall, just the moment I'm saying it. But it's kind of like a very insecure, and we don't have the traditional families anymore. We don't have like the big families who, where this knowledge is passed over. We have this three father, mother, child thing. So we don't know that anymore. We are insecure, and we just do the linking. At least kids nowadays are breastfed. I wasn't at all. So this is even more difficult. So probably that's why I ended up in an eating disorder. So the reason why I'm doing these courses is I'm interested in nutrition, and it's probably one of the most common reasons why people are interested in nutrition is that you had your own challenges with it. And I'm going to tell you more about this, or in my courses, because I'm not, I'm very authentic. So I need to tell you why I'm doing that. But the other problem with the other difficulty why eating healthy is is difficult is that we induce a hormonal roller coaster. So this is German. It means a soul patter, like the petting someone, like soothing and trösten is, oh my God, I should have looked it up. So it says like it's comforting, it's so comforting, yes, that's the word, which is ridiculous, because it's just this is the wrong way to teach our consumers. But consumers, capitalism, I don't comment any of that, but they want us to consume and to spend money on everything. So everything which has a commercial, don't buy it. That was my fasting fasting course teacher telling me, just don't trust any commercial. Anyhow, so this hormonal roller coaster is induced, for example, via chocolate. You have a dopamine rush, you have serotonin rush, you have an insulin rush. So this roller coaster kind of brings you into the next binge eating, into the next low blood sugar. And so if you can get out of this roller coaster, you can manage to have a healthy diet. And that is one other reason why so this is more like the fasting aspect, and this is more the intuitive eating, that we are aware that we have to dislink the emotional part from the nutrition part, because food is virtually only to fill our body needs and not to fill our emotional needs. Okay, I think you're aware of that, and I give you hints and suggestions and help to work around that. So so this would be the healthy way. Most of us, if not all of us, have unhealthy eating habits, at least most of the time. Sometimes it's like when you have on a diet, but it's so difficult to stick there because it's has nothing to do with intuitive eating. So it's still very mind-based. So mostly if we eat like how we conditioned, we have unhealthy eating habits, or we change it during a time. But probably the reason why you're here and listening to that is that you also suffered of that unhealthy eating habit. One of the consequences of this is that we bring acids into the body, and it's not like vinegar acid or whatever. It's like the reaction of the metabolism to that food is acidic in the body. So this is the basic knowledge around the acid-base or acid-alkaline balance. Let's see, there was nothing hiding there. So the diet and metabolism and blood nutrition buffer is influencing the pH. pH has to be very stable to have all the reactions in our cells working. And the most major our organs who are influencing or regulating that is the lung and the kidneys. So if you have enough exercise with enough breathing and enough circulation in the lung, most of this is covered already. If you drink enough, this was the drinking, your spleens are hydrated enough, you can get rid of the acid. If you have a very high acidic balanced diet, which is so that I show you in the next slide, but I just mentioned it now. It's so all animal products and most carbs not are inducing acidic metabolism in the body, not vegetables, not fruits and sprouts, no nuts, except the peanut, which is a legume. So this is kind of a general, overview how to avoid the acidic. So, and all protein is metabolized acidic. So the legumes are also on the acidic type. So the problem of that is that when your lungs and your kidney cannot compensate for the extreme amount you get into your body, your connective tissue, bone, and cellular buffers are jumping in, and the consequences is that your bones, so cellulitis, for example, is one consequence for that. Osteoporosis is one consequence of that. So let me think let's just see what I wrote there. Creeping over acidification, which the body can no longer compensate for at some point. Salinization, so it kind of crystals. The acid becomes a salt crystal deposition, joints, muscles, also fibromyalgia and all these other muscle pains, symptoms or syndromes can be the source, that can be the consequence of wrong or an unhealthy diet, which is high in proteins and only little in others. So there is still this like proteins. Like I would recommend like 0.5 to 0.75 or max 1 gram per centimeter height protein a day, but don't exceed that. Otherwise, you also get too much acidic in there. Questions around that, just address me at the end. We're trying to get that in time. How to address acidification and acid-base or acid-alkaline balanced diet. The recommended ratio for balanced diet is 60-40. You see, it's not like it's 100% alkaline. Better 70-30, acidic foods in the form of whole grains. So you have like here, and so there is many charts about this alkaline acidic food. This is just one of them. I link the source, and you see like this is all vegetables and fruits, and acidic is, funnily enough, there is no protein there, so it's not on there, but it does say it here in the here, most grains, eggs, fish, tea, cooked beans. Yeah. I have a second one also because just to give you an overview about this, it's more in detail. You will always get either you just screenshot it now or you just get the slides. You don't have to just send me an email and I send you the slides for that. There's plenty of information. I just wanted to put the focus on because this is one of the nutritional teachings I do after the courses or in the courses to avoid a new unhealthy eating. But what I hope you're aware that if you haven't focused on that one, you got all that into your body, you got all the consequences. As I said, cellulitis, the tendency for osteoporosis is also higher, and all, joint pain, muscle pains because of this. The body is kind of smart, and it doesn't put it in the heart and the brain, but it does put it in parts of the body which are not that necessary, but don't, make you look and feel better or worse. Okay, so this is the stuff around acidic food. One other consequence of unhealthy eating habits, and the unhealthy eating habit which is meant here is the fact that we have no pauses in eating. So So there are many studies which show that we have the same amount of food in a lower time frame. We eat the same amount of food. We are more healthy because in the non-eating time, our body is giving the chance to repair and self-healing. So this is the situation today. We start with the eating and have 8 to 10 meals, whatever. And this is kind of, our metabolism is overstrained, and it's completely unnatural for us humans to eat something every day permanently every few hours. So one suggestion to that, without attending any of my courses, would be cut down to 3 meals without snacks in between. And when you snack, please don't do any sweet drinks. Don't do any sweet drinks at all. And no smoothies, no fruit, because these snacks are kind of kicking in the insulin again, and then you don't. It's not the snack is like a meal. Or just try intermittent fasting, which I think I'm explaining here. Intermittent fasting, time restricted eating. So it just start with something of 12-13 hours of non-eating, and if you can exceed to 16 hours of non-eating, you just you don't need an app, just need a watch, and just count to 4. And then when you stop eating, like at 8 in the evening, it's 9, 10, 11, 12. You start at 12. At 12, 4 hours the next day later, with eating again, and then you're just into that 16-8 intermittent fasting, which is very healthy because, and this is on the next slide, it's inducing autophagy, and Oshumi has got the Nobel Prize for that, and it's really explaining that self-healing processes are mostly and very is stimulated by nothing as strongly as by fasting. So the body is so it's like in a big kitchen, like in a restaurant's kitchen, where when the guests are there, and the kitchen is busy, you kind of try to get all clean, but like the general cleaning is when the guests went home, when the kitchen stuff is doing the general cleaning, and there's no cooking anymore. It's the same with the body, that the cleanup is only possible when there is no meal coming in anymore, because otherwise it doesn't work. So we need, and there are also people, did I do that? Yes, I think I did. So just when you wake up because I had major sleeping disorders, which I really got rid of by fasting and cutting down the caffeine, eating in the middle of the night, for example. So our digestion system has not a single chance to regenerate, and this is the scientific background to that. It even works after 14, 16 hours, and for women it's working earlier, because they have the glycogen Vorräte. Anyhow, so the glycogen amount in the liver is less, so it also works earlier than that. But I would recommend like going for the, 12, 14, 16 hours. So what happens is that, there is always protein or material in cells, which are kind of it has to be trashed. And if we continuously eating, this trashing of this endogenous proteins, which are wrongly folded or wrongly made or whatever, so it kind of the kind of debris of the metabolism of the cell needs to be deleted, and that only happens, the autophagy only happens, or mostly and most efficiently happens by fasting. There is let me see what I wrote here. Immune cells, that was the new thing, that somatic cells do autophagy. The effect is regeneration, repair, anti-aging, purification. So all the biohackers know that. And what they might sometimes use is spermidine. Spermidine is known from sperma. Is sperma? Anyhow, so it's a content of there, but it's also in sprouts, can be also bought like in powder, and but the most effective way of releasing spermidine, I don't know if you heard it, is the one who's telomere reparation, the ends of the chromosome. So all this is a longevity factor. Autophagy is a longevity factor, and fasting is the major source of that and the major induction of that. And it even works, it already works with intermittent fasting. So this would be like the kind of kickoff. I did like a lot of food cancellation around intermittent fasting, but I realized that it's much more difficult to get into intermittent with from a normal diet. So when we do the healing, which, you know, the therapeutic fasting, which is the next slide, the therapeutic effect of fasting is much, much, much faster and easier when you start with a total therapeutic fasting, which is no food at all for 3 to 5 days. So it's not a water fast, it's a juice fast. So when you drink some calories, you can work after like 3 days of changing the metabolism. So anyhow, what I want to say, fasting, I forgot. I'm starting from the therapeutic fasting into the intermittent fasting, because then it's very, very easy, because our bodies and minds just don't know how, you know, it's much easier to get into the food, or instead of reducing the food. The fasting, and it's on all of my slides where I promoted, fasting is the easy way. Fasting is easy to do in a group, in a unique guidance. You need preparation to it, but then it's very easy. The most difficult part of it is it's the build-up phase, where you could start eating again, that you don't fall into those old patterns of eating unhealthy food, of eating too fast, of eating too unconscious, of eating all that. So I tend to say that, you know, the fasting is the easy part, but that's why I have my courses like with a 6 weeks period, so 6 week length, that I guide you after fasting for 3 weeks, from the non-eating to the healthy eating, to the intermittent fasting, and to the intuitive eating, where you don't have to think about anymore what you eat. You just feel into it. And it's a very, very, very releasing way of seeing food. What can I do? So this is the autophagy. What is the right path for me? Why? So intermittent fasting would be one of the autophagy inducers. As I said, I already explained that to you. You only have to try to count to 4. You have a meal break, yeah. So I told you already everything about intermittent fasting. Why that is healthy. And the third one, so the first consequence of unhealthy eating is the acidification. Second one is the lack of autophagy, because our body only does autophagy when we do fasting, or so like when you give the body a rest, then it's cleaning up. Remember the restaurant's big kitchen that's only cleaned up after the last guest is out from the restaurant. And the third is we bring toxins into the body, and this is kind of it's not avoidable. It's like totally avoidable. But when we eat organic food, we kind of try to avoid it. But you know, I need to tell you that I realized that many people, while I was traveling to the UK and especially to the US, that many people think that organic food is making them healthy. But I saw, Ken, his name was Ken. He was shopping for a lady in the Whole Food store, and he bought organic Coca-Cola. And I said, you know, although it's organic, it's still very unhealthy. And people think that when they buy the food there, they're getting more healthy. But the thing is, it's not the organic which makes you healthy. It's the little amount, the choice. And then when it's organic food, then it's also benefiting to that. But it's the amount and not the source of food. Heavy metals, sometimes we can't get over them, and nanoplastics all over. So what is the consequence? That we bring toxins in the body kind of always, no matter what we eat. And for that, so the toxins are mostly lipophilic, stored safely in the fat tissue, and we need to know, and that's the next slide I show you, how or that we detoxify by releasing fat, which is the good thing of fasting, and this is the healthy part of fasting. It also happens with crash diets, but you have to be aware. Most people doing crash diets or diets at all don't know anything about the toxins they're releasing, so that's why they feel bad. And in a guided fasting, or it has to be guided, because some people also just start fasting and have no idea what they kind of induce or extract from their fat tissue, they have to be guided through the process. So fasting melts the fat and releases the toxins. And why is that? Why are we melting fat during long-term fasting, which is like for 3 to 5 or longer time? I don't restrict my participants in the length. It's just check. Yeah, it's the ketogenesis, and I don't know, you probably heard about keto diet also. I just briefly mention that because it's not good for long term. So what happens in the ketogenesis, it's a metabolic program in the liver during the fasting phase. So when we totally cut out glucose from it's called citrate cycle, or it's called cancer cycles, at least in German, and that we use fatty acids for generating energy. And the consequence of this is that we build up acetone and ketones, which can be then, measured in the blood for showing that this metabolism works. And also, these ketones can be used in the brain as an energy source, and mitochondria regenerate also during ketosis, and cancer cells cannot use ketones. So some anti-cancer diets also promote ketogenesis. I would be careful about that, and I won't comment on that. So the only thing I would like to comment is that we now currently in the process of starting fasting programs for post-chemotherapy patients to detox their liver, and to to get them into healthy and mindful eating, because it's a holistic fasting course with lots of elements of mind-body medicine. So that's what we do with them. Also, the normal course contains lots of elements from the mind-body medicine. So anyhow, please caution with a permanent ketogenic diet, because it has lots of fats in there. It kind of is, so it's also a melting or a reducing the body weight thing, but with eating. So you can eat, but if you do it but you don't change your general way of let's say eating disorders, because you don't learn how to eat healthy. And for long term, ketogenic doesn't work, because we just screw up our metabolism with it, because it's much too high in fat. And all nutritionists I know, and they're publishing, say that it's not like a long term. It does help like in a short term to lose fat, but I would rather recommend the fasting, because it's a very physiological, evolutionary, and long-term experienced way of becoming healthy. I need to hurry up a bit, but let's see. What are the consequences? So the fourth one is very, very, very important, because we are creating an unhealthy gut microbiome. Why is that important? The composition of our gut bacteria influences the whole body, and also the brain via release of transmitter substances, nerve pathways, and hormones. The entire metabolism reacts to our gut microbiome. So you've probably heard that, but you're not probably not that aware that you influence your microbiome with your food. So you kind of create the microbiome through your food. And so one bad source, so good sources for a good microbiome are fibers, vegetables. Bad sources are carbs, and yeah, all the other things. Let me think what lectins, as I said, the gluten, it doesn't influence the microbiome that much, but it's definitely the carbs and sugars, which is kind of a negative effect on the microbiome. So one of my most favorite fibers to really treat my microbiome is psyllium sheet husks. I always carry them with me when I'm traveling, because when I don't have the access to the amount of vegetable my gut is used to, I just introduce this into my diet. So what is the healing effect on the microbiome? This is a colon malcolonization. It's so the cause of this is sometimes antibiotics, wrong diet, sugar, white flour, yeah, so the carbs. So the obesity microbiome is kind of, a malcolonization. So the pink one here got too many, and they are releasing, as I just said before, the wrong transmitters. We get depression, we get like other hormonal disbalances, and we scientists haven't even figured it out what's all the consequences of it. But there are many books showing that, and we just address, or maybe if you know some of them, to read in detail if you like. So what happens when you do fasting? You do an intestinal cleansing. So you reduce also, you don't kind of eradicate them. This is a kind of, I don't know, maybe some people think that with fasting you kind of eradicate your microbiome. No, you're reducing all the bacteria, and then you build them up again. And you see in the build up days, which I already mentioned, that's the most important way, or the most important part of fasting, of a fasting course, is that the intestinal composition changed to a healthy microbiome. And this is the major concern in my courses, or major focus that so this is the most important slide in all of my background informations, that you're aware what happens during the fast and why is it so important to have like a very, very conscious build-up phase, which is easy to integrate when you have the right knowledge about nutrition. So one of the sayings of George Bernard Shaw is, any fool can fast, but only a wise man can break a fast properly. And so, yeah. So the proper nutrition during the build-up phase is necessary, and then the microbiome is permanently improved. And the good thing is, when you do the courses with me, you can do that anytime after that for yourself, either in a little group which you find yourself, or people from the group you already attended to. So I give you all the slides, I give you all the information, all the videos. You just have to know how to do it once, like properly, and then you just could get, so if in case you need to be treated with antibiotics again, or go into the wrong diet again, you can also do that process for yourself. But it is important as for your microbiome. So it's 4 things now. Yeah, we skipped that one. This is like ferments. I do all the ferments. This is all on my YouTube channel. It's still in German. That if you just pause, I need to get like in time. So this is like the 4 major things what we do with a healthy nutrition and fasting. We care about the acid-base balance, acid-alkaline balance, by reducing the load, by changing the diet, and stress. Also, stress is influencing, is inducing acidification in the body. We give the body the chance to do autophagy, which is a metabolic resting phases, and auto repair mechanism, which is a longevity factor, which all the biohacking people know. We do detoxification, so all the toxins stored in the fat are melted down with ketogenesis. And one big side effect is also melting fat is reducing weight. And reducing weight is releasing the weight on our joints, is getting us in more action, is getting us more accessible to moving our body, to have a joyful, this is your temple, and your temple is easier to or more joyful to I don't know, to experience when it's less heavy. And although you might be used to that heavy weight, you know by mind that it's not healthy, and the fasting would be one kind of a, also very, very fast and easy way to have this satisfaction around losing weight. And then you're not, so by guiding you into the intuitive eating, it's a kind of so it's hashtag no yo-yo effect. So it's kind of my purpose, my aim is that people don't yo-yo and don't gain the weight again, and that's why I combine it with intuitive eating. So yeah, the gut microbiome, this is the most important stuff. We do the gut reset and feed it with ferments, polyphenols. This is all the colorful vegetables, fibers, my psyllium husks, and all the vegetables again, and integrate that into daily habits and life. This would be only like base fasting or alkaline fasting. I gave you the slides. If you just reduce your diet or change your diet to that, you also would feel that. This is intermittent fasting. This is the therapeutic fasting or water fasting, juice fasting. Buchinger is the German version of it. This would be also helpful just with nutrition coaching. So this is, most of it is on my YouTube channel, but only in German until now. And integrate that into daily habits in life is the intuitive eating. So I combine all that by in my holistic courses, fasting, intuitive eating, because you get in the nutrition coaching, you get the base fasting and the with it. And yeah, this is also like, so it's kind of starting with therapeutic, then it goes to intermittent, and then the nutrition coaching is coming, and then I kind of release my participants into the wilderness, I tend to say, with intuitive eating, with meditations around that, with subconscious work, mind work, and this is all important to really integrate and to overcome the hurdles we just mentioned early on that talk about the missing mindfulness and the emotional linkage of food and safety and closeness and all that. Why are we believing no, I can't do that? There is lots of information about that on my website. If you have these belief systems, I can't do that. It's mentioned there. Fasting has always been, I told you already, this is Hippocrates, of course, the father of medicine. So this should be in every a general practitioner practice. Who wants to remain strong, healthy, and young, be temperate, exercise the body, breathe pure air, and cure your ailment by fasting rather than by medicines. So it's a very, very old common knowledge, but I think the pharmaceutical industry, who wants to sell their pills, and the unawareness of most medical doctors and the uneducated, is that a word, in the universities, which is influenced by the pharmaceutical industry, to be honest. So they all got away from that knowledge. And so I'm also training medical health workers and also naturopath in this holistic kind of guiding, leading fasting courses, because I realized that this will be the future cure for all the chronic diseases we have, in a very easy and non-pill alternative way. Otto Buchinger is the other one who healed himself from rheumatic arthritis. Yeah, why fasting? This is just so I would recommend that we just go very briefly through that. It's It's for vascular diseases, fatty liver, obesity, gastrointestinal tract leaky. So everything around the gut, diabetes. So all skin diseases, like the skin is the mirror of the gut, is fasting fasting is curing these allergies. So the gut immune system and allergies are very, very closely connected. So by curing or cleaning up the gut and regenerating it, also allergies are getting less. I have quite many testimonials on my Google Maps. So it's also translating into English, where I treated many people with allergies with this kind of method of combination of fasting and intuitive eating. Just go and read through it. Chronic pain syndromes, any chronic disease, I would say fasting would be very, very releasing. So everything where acute painkillers doesn't work anymore, or you have to get them regularly, or cortisone or regular. Also, every regular medication you take, I would rather try to get away from that by learning how to fast and integrate them in your life on a, I would say, annual or biannual basis, or twice. So from twice a year to every 2 years, I would recommend that to clean up your system. And to stay healthy and to have a long and full life. But also for healthy people, it's rest for digestion, purification, elimination, clarity, inner peace, empowerment. I should have added empowerment. It's very empowering if you realize that or when you realize that you really did it, and the group was itself is also empowering, like to feel like that it's quite easy and possible to cut down food to zero for like 3, 5, 6, 7 days. Deceleration, awareness in the moment. So all the religions are using that. Monks are using that to connect with your inner guide, to connect with your body. And that's one spiritual way of seeing it, that it's a very, very good method to reconnect with your inner guides and your inner body and your inner, to reconnect with your body, which is the inner guide to you, the guide of your soul in the moment. What happens during the fasting, I think I already mentioned most of them. I just read through it. It's a reset button where the fat loss and the hormonal change. Hormonally active visceral abdominal fat decreases. I haven't mentioned that one before because that's another benefit of that. So it's 0.5, that the abdominal fat is hormonally active, and if we reduce that, the whole hormone system is also getting better. The hunger stress, the eustress is activates the self-healing formation of stem cells. Yeah, stem cells. That's another, I'm in this kind of circles of biohacking people where they inject stem cells and get these, stem cell is the best, and I just need to smile or grin. Is it grin? I don't know. Because it's a very, very easy and a very, very cheap way to induce stem cell generation by just to fast. So you can pay like lots of money for it, but you also can get it very easy when you do a regular fasting. You strengthen and activate your immune defense because of also inducing new stem cells, new immune cells. It strengthens the psyche by inducing hormones and also the empowering aspect I just told you. Autophagy, ketone bodies had that. So like reducing the abdominal fat is the one which is new here. And the stem cells does a bit combined with the autophagy, but it's very different because you really build new stem cells. This is one big longevity factor here as well. Okay, so why are people fasting? For prevention, which is the new source of staying healthy without needing any healthcare system, and for cure. So for prevention, it's weight loss, detoxification, metabolic training, endocrine. So this is like the cure. And this is the prevention, and many others. Release of toxins, we had that already. The weight loss should not be the primary goal. We need a long-term dietary change to so not dietary change. So this is the intuitive eating part that you kind of need to but then it's virtually very easy when you realize that the unhealthy, and you really feel it again, that the unhealthy food is making you really feeling sick and stuffed and full and uncomfortable. And that happens when you reconnect with the sensory system of your body. And that's a good thing of combining those two things. So yeah, that's one other sentence which is very important. Do not let your closest friends and relatives influence you. It's your decision to fast. You can also ask them if they want to attend, but it's also, so I do that in the household, so in your environment. It's an online course at home, and so they get like the influences. I just need to check something. Give a second. Back again. Okay. So that's why I do it in the house, in like your natural environment. And so they kind of get influenced by seeing you and realizing that you can do that. And this is a kind of influence of the family. And I'd love to do that in your normal environment, because then you integrate all the suggestions much better. You are, and I don't recommend to do it in any clinic, other you are very sick and need to have like a very close clinical checkup like every day. But if you have such situation, please contact me. If we could also try to get that like at home with your general practitioner guiding you through that, but without staying at a clinic. Anyhow, so because there are people who do that in clinics, like once or twice a year. There are in Germany, that's very expensive clinics where, like I always say, like stress managers go there twice a year to reset, and then they go into the same old eating habits and just yo-yo around that, and they think they're doing something. They're more healthy than the others, but my goal is to really show you the long-term effect of a healthy diet and the long-term effect of really staying healthy, and only by changing like your complete mindset about that healthy food is also very, very joyful and satisfying, because some people really think that only fat, sugar, and wheat is satisfying them, and that's what you learn like in those 6 weeks courses, that you feel better and you integrate that, and then it's easy to maintain and not to change it again to like this yo-yo fasting and non-fasting periods. Who should not fast? Children and adolescents, pregnant and breastfeeding women, people with eating disorders. I need to check back. And hypothyroidism, tuberculosis is also a non-go. Why are we so afraid of changing our diet? This is also a very important slide for you, because people always think, no, I want to keep my like cake a day or whatever, because it feels so good. But as you realize by this talk already, that the feeling, the short-term feeling, the short-term dopamine rush, the short-term is in long-term really injuring your body, is really reducing your lifespan, reducing your health in older age, reducing your health. And we really have to think about if this short-term emotional satisfaction is really worth the long-term effects of an unhealthy diet. why are we so afraid? Because we think that suddenly there's no more pleasure. Yeah, so we need to unlink sense of smell and taste, which is possible during the fast, because you realize that you can also smell on things, and you are improving your smell by that, by the way. That there's no satisfaction through gluttony, so like binge eating. Unlinking food and closeness, warmth, well-being. So that food has nothing to do with warmth and you know, that oxytocin is the better hormone, I would say. It doesn't. It also makes it kind of dependent, but not unhealthy, not sick, not ill, as insulin does. Insulin is definitely doing harm to your body. Social exclusions. Yeah, some people think that if I don't eat like the others, I'm excluded from society. So this is a kind of a psyche hack that we unlink, that I'm only okay if I fit into society. So if you explain to people why you do that, it's mostly accepted. And you're, as I'm also kind of a weird influencer, inspiration, you could also become one of those people who make other people think about their common eating habits. And that's what I do with my family. They don't eat the way I do, but I just live the way I do or feel the way I do. And I hope that they kind of, when they're grown up, they kind of adapt that, or they don't. So they have to learn the hard way, as most of us did, that unhealthy food is making us, is delivering the chronic diseases on a plate. Yeah. What do I offer as a solution? I already mentioned it quite a few times now. I combine all of this in a holistic course. It's called Fasting and Intuitive Eating. My suggestion is to find your why and join the group. There is regular courses. As I said, starting with the first one. So if you see that there is an early bird for the next one, which is 25th of September, 23. Or you just address me when the next course is, or you just get your email on my newsletter list that you are informed when the next course will come. Or you know, when you for example, in a company know 5 people who are interested in that, I can also just start like a very individual timing course. It has 8 Zoom meetings. It's over 6 weeks, and the weekend of the fasting, like here, the 20th of October, should be one where you are not like having a birthday party or a weekend workshop or something like that. I'm starting so this is also flexible, but this for the next course, it's all on my website already with all the dates in between these 6 weeks. Just ask me, address me, you get all the information. Be aware that it's not like Google translating, it's a separate website in English with the ENGB here suffix, which guides you to the English courses and content. Yeah, I think that's it. I will get the questions, and you just need a little break. Then I will address your questions from the live Zoom here, or you just contact me via all those social media, which is the social media. This is German Telegram channel. This is all translated. I do it almost bilingual also. Yeah, do you find me on WhatsApp, email me, or in social media? I'm kind of blogging what I do. And it's kind of it's not like a typical social media channel. It's really like how I deal with the challenges of my life. So it's my personal blog there. It's kind of a book. So if you're interested in how and where and who am I, just go there. Yeah, thank you. And now I address the questions, and we'll stop the recording for the others. Bye-bye.